Greetings, everybody, and welcome back to another Reacts video. Today, we are going to do something different. Normally, I react to just movies, but since I've been a fan of Habitual Line Crosser for a long time, I decided I'll go ahead and react to his latest video, which is titled Beautiful Boats. I have a pretty good idea what this is about. Beautiful boats is not the term I would use personally, but let's see what he has to say. Let's get into it.
Canada, are you seriously thinking about getting the Gripen, however the hell you say that, with instead of the F-35? Well, I was thinking about it, dear. About it, sorry. Fucked up that part of the accent. I was thinking about it there, and it's just your president's a bit of a bad dude. And it's got us concerned about, you guys potentially cutting off parts for the F-35 there if something goes wrong. That's a fair point. Your president, America, he's a loose cannon. And we are supposed to assume that he's going to be gone in a couple of years, and it's not really feeling like that's going to happen. That's not fair. In all the years you've had my old F-18s, have I ever cut off parts from you? I mean, no, but things have changed.
Wow, giving up your old F-18s to get some old fucking Gripens. Oh, gosh. Good job. You just love staying in the fucking past. Plus, it's got canards. I'm sure your boyfriend Greenland is gonna love those.
That's one thing I was confused about there. Why are canards gay? They're not. It's just America being childish.
I always thought Canada's boyfriend was Alaska, but that's just me.
It was actually me, beans on toast. I said it once, and now it's lore. We only have like one aircraft in our entire fleet that has canards, but they're little baby canards. He might be bi-curious. I don't know.
It's not about touching another man. No. It's about making him think you will. I don't know what to do with this information. Do we got another fucking story, Uncle Sam?
Actually,
oh, poor Grandpa Buff. Now you know what we deal with you. Gay jokes. They never get old.
yeah, did you hear some of the crazy shit Slavic Special Ed's been doing over there to deal with his plummeting birth rate?
Oh, no.
Yours is on the decline too.
Well, mine is not. We're aware they keep spilling over into everybody else's country. It's like they were...
Yeah, India, that's because your idea of birth control is 2 cups and a string. I.e., you don't actually believe in birth control. That's why every family has like 12 kids. Seriously, why don't you just deport some of your children to China and Russia? They can certainly use the population uptick.
Born to do 2 things. Fucking poop in the street.
So their birth rate's been on the decline for years. I mean, Putin's been in charge for like 25 years, and since then, just every year, it's been going down more and more and more. They started out with some simple things like
I will grant, however, that it's not an issue that started under Putin. Don't get me wrong. Putin is a piece of shit. He is a fucking asshole, and I want nothing to do with him. That said, I have no problems calling balls and strikes. So, the issue of Russia's birth rate, it did not start with Putin. It existed before Putin, actually. I think it existed under Gorbachev, if I remember right. Because I think it technically started in the 70s, where that was like the trigger, and then it started becoming a concern in the 80s, and then it wasn't until Putin took control in the early 2000s that it became a major issue. So it's been a concern for a while. It's just that it hasn't been a mainstream concern in Russia until after Putin took power. But it's been a problem. Like, well before that.
trying to make it taboo to not have children. And then they started getting a little bit more aggressive. They started banning any kind of LGBT activism because it was counterproductive to that. They started making abortions.
Okay, here's a point I have to make. And this is something that does annoy me. Is that when it comes to LGBTQIA+, I really don't care what letters you add on there, because you add so many letters on there that I can't keep track anymore. Here's the problem I have. If you're going to protest something, make certain you're protesting something that you actually want that's going to do something good for you. If you're going to protest Russia, i.e. communism, because let's face it, what Putin is doing is communism. Or if you're going to protest Iran or Palestine, which, by the way, Palestine does not actually exist, and the quote-unquote historical nod to Palestine was actually a British fucking mandate. It was a colony. But if you're going to protest that, guess what? Both of these things, both the quote-unquote Palestine, which, by the way, is not a recognized state, and I will never recognize it, period, or Russia, i.e. communism, you know what they would do to you? They would hang you. They would string you up by your boots, and they would torture you to death. That is what these cultures do to people like LGBTQIA+. That's what they do. I don't understand why people protest in support of those, when, if they got their way, these people would be, just brutally murdered. So, I'm almost tempted to just be like, okay, let's just take these people and deport them. Forget the immigrants. Just take these people and deport them. See how long they last in Iran. See how much they like it in Iran. Because I guarantee you, they wouldn't last more than a week before Hamas decided to fucking kill them. It's just, it defeats the whole point of their protests, in my opinion. It's why I don't pay attention to it, and it's why I don't give a flying fuck. Go get a job. Go get a fucking job.
Harder to come by, and
stop wasting everybody's time.
In some areas of Russia, illegal. And then they just started straight up putting pink banners around to remind women, have you had children yet? Even if not by name, ethnic Russians.
Lebensborn, anybody?
Must survive. Okay, fine.
Yeah, we've seen this before. Right? There's a reason Germany's coming in here.
Fine, yeah. But 80 years ago, when I tried to solve this problem, everybody had an issue with it.
I rest my case.
I'm joking. That's not me anymore.
I rest my
They've even
case.
created a nationwide registry for women who are pregnant in Russia. And they're possibly going to go as far as anyone who is in a relationship is banned from social media from 11 p.m. to 2 a.m. to,
You don't have to ban it. God, you guys are so bad at multitasking. I can't tell you how many times that I've set up, the little kickstand on my phone.
This is what OnlyFans is for, goddammit. As we know, Russian women are good enough at psyoping that as it is.
To watch a fat electrician video while she's taking back shots.
Wait.
Nick
What
reference.
we're not telling him. Nobody tell him. Don't worry about it. Just don't ever put those two words together ever again, kid. That coupled with...
It is either going to be the best day ever or the most terrifying day ever when the kid gets the talk. Quite frankly, I think he deserves it as it is. Oh, you poor, sweet, innocent little F-22. There's so much you don't know.
the severe amount of casualties that have happened in Ukraine, and a lot of the men leaving the country because they don't want to be conscripted. They're having some birth issues over there.
I do not have giant losses in Ukraine, or whatever word you used.
Lately you've been losing more people every month than we lost in 20 years of fighting in Afghanistan. 2,400 people in Afghanistan in 20 years. Go ahead and check the Russian numbers. It's fucking insane.
Yeah, Russian.
Maybe,
Russia
I don't know,
fucking
you
sucks
could-
at
you
warfare.
could-
We all know this.
Do something other than fucking meat wall tactics?
We use proper tactics. You shut up your mouth, you stupid plane. And if you ever fought a real enemy, somebody who had technology and the entire West and NATO backing them up, then maybe you wouldn't be so quick to talk. Plus, they're doing now terrorism tactics.
Ukraine doesn't have the whole West backing him up. They have part of the West backing him up because Trump is in Putin's pocket and everybody knows it.
They just blew up one of my generals with a car bomb. At the time of me,
Granted, your generals haven't had the greatest track record. I mean, you did have a general that stepped on a landmine. I mean, how in the hell does a general step on a landmine? Like, shouldn't you, by being a general, be able to have some sense of that? Or at the very least, shouldn't your staff, your guards, be able to tell that? Sounds like a skill issue. I'm just saying. Russia's had a lot of skill issues, so this is not surprising to me.
Recording this, Ukraine has not claimed responsibility for the car bomb. But it's highly probable. Maybe all the
Well, it's either Ukraine or one of the terrorist organizations that Russia has refused to associate with. Getting pissed off that they don't supply arms to. I mean, Iran knows a thing or two about that.
rampant corruption in your ranks and all the problems they're having with logistics. And I mean, they're literally starving on the front line. They're freezing. They're using donkeys to get back and forth because you can't create equipment fast enough. Dying in droves, abusing each other, both physically and sexually. I mean, I'm just saying that's a quick way for anyone to end up on the chopping block. And this is an important time to remind everyone that slightly more than 50% of all Russian czars, presidents, and kings and stuff like that have been removed by force.
Yeah, so the last time that Russia had a revolution, of course, was in 1917, and that was the Russian Revolution, also known as the Communist Revolution or the Bolshevik Revolution, right? And that was when the Tsar, Nicholas II, was deposed by Bolshevik rebels, and that actually occurred in 1916. And then, ironically, it was successful because of funds, secret funds, that were transferred to Russia from Germany, because Germany wanted to knock Russia out of the war, and the best way to do that was to start a revolution. So it was kind of a, you scratch my back, and then 30 years later, in 1930, 20 years later, in 1939, Russia scratches theirs. So, but I'll get to that in a minute. But what happened was that Nicholas, the Tsar, was deposed. He wasn't initially executed. I think most people kind of just assume that it was an instantaneous thing. It actually wasn't. So what happened was you had about a 10-month period, roughly 10 months to about a year period, where you had a two-party system. So not that dissimilar to what you have in the U.S. today. But of course, as we know in the U.S. today with Congress, nothing ever gets fucking done. So the people got rightfully pissed off and rose up against the two-party system, and then the Bolsheviks were able to take total control of the government, at which point Lenin ordered the assassination of the entire royal family. Now, as to the whole thing with Russia and Germany in 1939, people love to just point the finger at Germany, like 100% point the finger at Germany for World War II. Now, I will grant, in total fairness, Germany did some god-awful things. There's no denying that, right? There have been people who have tried to deny it, and in attempting to do that, they've gotten in some pretty serious legal, like big-time legal trouble. But here's the thing. Putting the finger completely on Germany is not only unfair, it's totally inaccurate. First of all, a lot of what Germany learned, at least initially, when it came to the concentration camps, like the initial style of it, the ghettos, which led into the camps, they learned that from Russia, okay, with the gulags. The gulags served as inspiration there. Second of all, the whole idea of gassing people, mass gassings for mass executions, they learned that from Japan, from Unit 731. So if you want to point the finger at anybody, point the finger at Japan, because they taught Germany all their dirty little tricks that Germany then got the full blame for. And Japan, for the most part, got off scot-free. They didn't get off entirely, but in comparison, they got off pretty damn well. They wouldn't have if fucking Mao hadn't launched his goddamn communist revolution. But again, I'm getting way off track here. The point is that Russia had a huge role in World War II, in starting it. Right? Initially, they were an Axis power. And actually, that's why the Axis was named that way. When Mussolini joined up with Germany, they took a look at the political sphere and they said, oh, we have a connection via Germany, via Russia to Japan. We are an Axis. That was the thing. And Russia didn't actually change until 41. It was about 2 years before Russia actually switched sides. And the only reason they did is because Germany broke their pact, surprise, in 41 and launched Operation Barbarossa. So Russia, Slavic Special Ed, has absolutely no right whatsoever to make any complaints whatsoever with Germany and try and take the high ground. Because if it wasn't for them, there is no doubt in my mind that Hitler would not have launched the operation into Poland, and World War II would not have happened. It wouldn't have without Russia. It was Russia's fault. Plain and simple. But Germany gets shafted on that. And I don't agree with that. They did some horrible things, but starting the war, I don't think so, personally.
It's a really interesting metric. Excuse me for interrupting, but, did you really have a member of your government introduce policy that would allow your president to give letters of marque so that they can hunt down Venezuelan drug runners in the
Pirates
Caribbean?
of the Caribbean theme.
Oh, wait, fucking seriously? Oh, the world is healing.
I mean, I don't know if you know this, but of all privately owned firearms on the planet, like 46 or 47% of them are in the United States. Like, I have the firepower and the willingness of people to want to do it. It'll probably never happen, but it's still funny.
We have so many amazing Americans who have beautiful boats and beautiful...
Oh, God. HLC does this voice really, really well. Too well, if you ask me. I'll be honest. I don't listen to the president's voice any more than I have to. It just... I can't stand it. His voice, his tone, everything about it just is like a cheese grater or nails on a chalkboard. It's painful to me. Because every time this asshole opens his mouth, he makes me more and more ashamed to be American. That's all I'm going to say. I think it's obvious by now to all of my viewers that I hate Trump. And will always hate Trump. If you don't like that, get the fuck off my channel. I don't want you.
guns. We need to give them a chance to use them to help defend this country, and then they can loot and keep whatever they want. Wait. DC might be onto something here. I get to smoke minorities and I get free cocaine.
Kind of. So here we get to the crux of the video. So I've read up a little bit on the BBGX. There are several issues I have with it. First of all, in order to make it even a possibility in the first place, you canceled the Constellation class frigate. You canceled the extension to the Early Bird class program. The former and the latter, both of them, are very solid designs. Trust the U.S. Navy to fuck up a proven design so much that they cancel it. And this is an era when we need escorts. We totally need escorts more so than we need large capital ships. We have plenty of capital ships, and we're going to get more of them. That's what the Ford class is for. But what we have a shortage of is escorts and air defenders, especially. That's why we were designing the Constellation class, to fill that air defense gap that we've had. I mean, the Flight 3 Burks are pretty good at that, but that's not their, like, sole specialty. Whereas with the cruiser or frigate design, that's exactly what we would have had. Unfortunately, we're only going to get 3 Constellations as it is, unless the next president, who hopefully is a Democrat, reignites the program. Personally, that's what I'm hoping for. Rather than going with the Legend. I have nothing against the Legend class cutter, but the Legend class is really designed more for the Coast Guard. And trying to fit it into the Navy's doctrine, which is a completely separate doctrine, by the way, is just, it's not going to work as well. It could work, but it's not going to fill that gap as well as the Constellation does. Maybe on the bright side is that the Constellation could become the surface combatant version of the Seawolf, as in it's very, very, very well capable in what it does. Almost like too good. Because we only have 3 of them. Just like we have only 3 of the Seawolves, and we look back and regret that we didn't build more. Now, granted, the Virginia, the 774 class, is a damn good replacement. There's no question that the Virginia is extremely capable. The problem is, our shipbuilding base isn't there anymore. We don't have the ability to put them out fast enough. That's why we've really dropped the ball when it comes to AUKUS. The Australians are desperate for these submarines, and with good reason. But we can't build them. We can't even build them fast enough for our own Navy, let alone for Australia. And this is another one of my points. How can you possibly expect our shipbuilding base to be able to build a 900-foot long, 40,000-ton surface combatant when we can't even keep up with what we currently have? I guarantee you that in the next 2 years, this program's going to be canceled. There's no way. The Navy's going to cancel it as soon as they're allowed to. And hopefully, in the process, they'll revive the DDGX. Especially. Extending the Burke platform out. Because by far, that is the best design the Navy has come up with in the last 40 years. No question. Hopefully, they also see sense and resume the Constellation. But we shall see. In any case, I think that this is just posturing. You know?
Holy shit, it's like Christmas. Oh, by the way, Merry Christmas. We don't say Happy Holidays here because I hate
Well, I say Malik Kalikimaka.
everybody else. Matter of fact, I hate Christians too. But they're kind of the ones that have least pissed me off this
Damn it,
year.
Buff.
Why do I hate Christians? I don't know. I just feel like hating everybody.
It's kind of one of those weird Buff ramblings, and not even he knew where that conversation was going.
I'm just waiting for the
I mean,
racist
I knew
joke.
where I wanted it to go, but YouTube has an issue with the hard R.
And
Wow,
there it
hey,
is.
what's that? A subject change? UK, you got something else to bitch about? As a matter of fact, I do. So not only has your
Okay, HLC, I have to point out, this would have been a perfect opportunity for the Middle Eastern accent again. Just saying.
buffoon in charge just consider doing whatever he wants, now you've launched the Golden Dome, which I agree was needed, and now he's talking about a Golden Fleet with a Trump-class battleship.
This is... Yeah, I already went off a rant about how this is an incredibly bad idea. If you want to see more about how it's a bad idea, go watch Eddie Markey's video on the Trump class. Very informative. Go watch that. All I will say is this. Battle stations, battle stations, battle stations make way for the USS Compensation. Because we all know this is Trump compensating for his abnormally small dick.
At this rate, it's only a matter of time before he puts himself on the golden throne, like the Emperor from 40K.
To be honest,
I
you're not
identify
wrong.
with the World Eaters. It's just a simpler way of
But I ain't gonna
combat.
be shouting
Either
blood for the blood
it's a
god
world
for him.
eater
I
on that
promise you
planet,
that.
or
I
it's
will not be
extinct.
doing that.
Pretty simple. You don't got to worry about morality or anything. Just eliminate it if it's not a world eater.
I don't think the fleet's gonna be actual gold. Right, DC?
Better not be.
No, it would not be actual gold, but it will be the most powerful battleship that has ever sailed the seas. It'll be 100 times stronger than the Iowa class, and it'll be bigger, and it'll be faster, and
Just
it'll
revive
have
the
the most
Montana.
advanced
God
weapons
damn it,
in the
it's not a
world.
battleship that bad.
Okay, when I read this story, it really tickled my tism because I like tactics.
It's
And
not
I'm all
realistic.
about spending the extra money if it'll mean less service members in danger and it's better at protecting them.
Okay, look, as a cruiser concept, and I agree with Anamorky on this one. As a cruiser concept, the Defiant class, you will not hear me call it the T word. I will never, ever, ever do that. The class is named for the first ship, and the first ship is Defiant. The Defiant class battleship, as a cruiser concept, is a good idea. Because it ticks all the boxes. It ticks the air defense box, it ticks the armament box, it ticks the VLS box, it ticks the laser box, and let's face it, every major service combatant is going to need laser defense systems. It's just a more efficient way to deal with drones that doesn't cost billions and billions of dollars. All right. The problem is that with this design that they have right now, not only do we not have the industrial base for that, and go back and watch that segment where I talked about that, but also at the same time, it's completely impractical. There's a reason battleships don't exist anymore. Don't get me wrong, I love battleships. I love me some big guns, right? I am a sucker for the Iowa class. I visit the Iowa all the time. I've been to the Missouri. New Jersey's next on my bucket list, right? I absolutely love battleships. However, in terms of modern fleet design and modern doctrine, they just don't work. They just don't. You can't have a doctrine of air superiority and battleships. You can have one or the other, but you can't have both. They just aren't compatible. And that is the facts, regardless of how many VLS launchers or rail guns you put on this fucking thing. It's not gonna work. It just isn't. I'm sorry. And you know how I know this? Because in the 1990s, the Navy had considered installing a VLS upgrade on the Iowas. Between the second funnel and the third turret, they were going to put a VLS launch system that would have had up to 64? I think is what it was. It was either 62 or 64 VLS pods. So comparable to a Flight 1 Arleigh. So it's not small by any stretch of the imagination. And they scrapped that idea. Why? Partly because of cost. I don't entirely agree with that. I think that the VLS upgrade would have allowed the Iowas to serve into the 2010s, maybe even up till now, which probably would not have been a bad idea. If I'm being honest, actually, they could have rained hell on the Houthis. And those 16-inch guns would have wreaked havoc for sure as well. Could have very much come in handy against those small boats. But the Navy also understood that the future very much belonged to the carriers, and that the era of the battleship had long since passed. And the main reason the Iowas were still around through Desert Storm was because they had very low mileage. And those big guns of theirs, I mean, the Navy was scrambling to find uses for them, let's face it. They didn't have to do it the way that they did, but they could have used airstrikes to do what the Iowas did on the beaches. But let's be honest, and that's exactly what they do now. But at the time, it was more about fear factor. That only works until your adversary is not afraid. And let's be honest, terrorists aren't afraid to die. Why? Because that's what they do for a living. Add to the fact that this is an era of air power, air superiority, the battleship is completely obsolete. As much as I love them. Now, personally, I feel like that the ships that we have, the combatants that we have, should have some design elements of a battleship, namely the armor. If you look at an Arleigh Burke, for example, they have very minimal armor, which is fair for a destroyer. The only sliver of armor they have is around the base of their masts, where their CIC is. The problem with that is that quote-unquote armor is, it's tinfoil. It's nothing. It's not going to stop an SM6. It's not going to stop a Bravmos. It's not going to stop an Exocet. So the bottom line is that if you're going to have a ship that's this valuable of a surface combatant, you should protect it better. Aegis is awesome. No question about that. This thing is freaking Skynet on water. It really is. It's terrifying. But it's not foolproof. All it takes is one hit. That's the thing that scares me. Is that it's not a case of survivability. It's a case of all it takes is one singular hit from a drone. And we have seen this time and time again with Russia. And that surface combatant is done. That ship is gone. And I don't care if you say, okay, Russia's incompetent as fuck. Well, of course they're incompetent as fuck. That's not my point. My point is you can have the best air defense system in the world. And still, one drone can get through, and that's the end of you. And it doesn't have to be that way. You can sacrifice a couple knots of speed for armor. It wouldn't take much. But if you could actually properly armor this and give the Arleigh Burke the semblance of a citadel, that would help. Yeah, you lose a couple knots, but so what? The things are ridiculously fast anyway. But that's just me. Then again, I'm just a historian, so what the fuck do I know?
But this is all over the place. There's so many benefits and drawbacks on this thing. It's supposed to have the ability to fire nuclear capable cruise missiles, which I believe the Tomahawk is rated for. I really got to go down into the rabbit hole, and I'm probably going to do that in a state of mind over on Pepperbox. But like, there's so many just contradictions here. It has 12 VLS cells on the bow for what are they called? Conventional prompt strike missiles, which are one of the new hypersonics coming online. It's going to have 2 of the 5-inch guns. It's going to have the railgun, which, as far as I'm aware, the U.S. discontinued in 2021. However, Japan just put a railgun on board one of their ships, so maybe they solved something we couldn't.
I will grant
it's going to have 128 Mark 41 vertical launch system cells on board. Now, bear in mind, the current Arleigh Burke class destroyer Flight 2A has 96.
And of course, as I've already said with the Iowa, the idea of a VLS upgrade is not impossible for a battleship. You can have big guns and also have VLS and not sacrifice a whole lot of extra space. So I will grant that. And the Iowas were, of course, a steam-powered ship. They had been upgraded to burn diesel, but they were still steam powered. So, and honestly, the current design for the Defiant class shows a diesel electric design. There's no way. I mean, unless Raytheon performs a damn miracle, you're looking at a nuclear powered design, which is fine. Great. You don't have to have fuel tanks. You don't have to waste space on fuel tanks with a nuclear reactor. Put in a 9SW. I don't care. The only other thing I can think of that could be plausible is with and only with the reactor would be a railgun, because the power requirements are just ridiculous. I mean, again, unless we pulled the one that Japan adopted, which with their conventional power plant seems to work just fine. So I don't know. Maybe we could pull that one. But BAE Systems can go take a fucking hike because their design sucks. Their design just fucking sucks. Let's just be honest. It sucks.
Or 92, somewhere in the 90s. So this is a significant upgrade. Moving forward past that, one of the major drawbacks of a lot of the battleships back in the days is they didn't have a good onboard sensor, and that made them vulnerable to air,
I will point out that at the time that the last class was designed, i.e. the Iowa class, air power was only just getting into its own. By the time the Iowa saw service for the last time in the 80s and the 90s, they had been pretty well upgraded for the era when it comes to air defense. I mean, they had some protection. They still relied on escorts, of course, because they were the large service combatant, and then they needed the escorts, which goes back to my point of we need to build the escorts first. We need to build the hen house before we get the hen. But details. I don't know. Maybe Mr. King fucking Trump can figure it out. I don't know. I've given up caring at this point because he's just made it to the point where I can't bring myself to care, because if I did, then I would just lose my damn mind.
threats. This one is supposed to have a 4-panel Spy 6 and then a 4-panel another sensor that I'm very unfamiliar with. Right now they're boasting two 300 kilowatt lasers, which is not unheard of with the Helios, but then also two 600 kilowatt lasers. This thing is supposed to be gas turbine and steam driven, kind of like our normal ones are, but
as I said, nuclear.
I don't know where this voltage is coming from.
That's the only.
It's supposed to have two rolling airframe missile launchers, which is basically a missile version of the Sea-Wiz, the close-in weapon system. I didn't see Sea-Wiz listed, but it does have 4 30mm guns listed.
Yeah,
and I think somebody might have fat-fingered that because the Sea-Wiz is only 20, I think, off the top of my head. So 30 is a significant increase in that, unless there's another 30mm gun that I'm unfamiliar with that the Navy uses.
It would be Sea-Wiz. It would have to be.
That's a lot of goddamn firepower.
That's the thing,
That's
kid.
what a
I've been
battleship
digging
is,
into this
kid.
thing for like the last hour or two,
battleship is
and
the
I still
visual
can't
epitome
come to
of
a
fuck around
conclusion
and
of
find
this
out.
if this is
Again,
a good
I love
idea, like
battleships,
taking an
but
Arleigh
this
Burke
is
and
not
making it
practical
just
right now.
more of everything that is Arleigh Burke, or if this is a really stupid idea, like somebody did with the world's largest battleship.
I was unaware that war
You mean the
was
world's
changing
largest
that
coral reef.
much, and I thought the era of the battleship was still many years to go.
Yeah, and that shit got...
Although, to be fair to Japan, the world's largest battleship also became the world's only space battleship, so. Hey, you know what? Uchu-Senkan Yamato for life. I can't help myself on that one. We love my Yamato.
It turned into a fucking coral reef quick, fast, and in a hurry there.
It was an oversight by the Imperial Japanese Navy.
And now you know. It treats the boats like a friend or else it gets the sun again.
Oh my god. Oh, Grandpa Buff, I love you. Okay, HLC, if you're ever watching this, I have to say, design a shirt that has a mushroom cloud, and then the words underneath it are "Don't touch the boats." You gotta do that. I'm shocked you haven't done that yet. You have to do that because that's just. I mean, it's obvious. Everyone knows you don't touch America's boats. Grandpa Buff, thank you. And thank you all so much for sticking with me through this very long video. It turned out to be a lot longer than I had planned. And I will see you all when the next HLC video comes out. Later.